Vargas Junk Punch, once, but no longer, of the very capable four, steals out of Torch in the pre-dawn darkness. As he steps out the gate, he sees a form silhouetted against the night sky. It's short and thin, and has a strange, bulbous head that's tilted back as though it's staring up at the stars. Vargas freezes, staring at the strange figure. He can hear it, just barely carrying over the distance, humming or singing to itself in a strange, almost harmonic voice.
He's harmless. Or at least we think he is.
Vargas spins, bringing his metal arm up before him in a guarded stance. Stepping out from where she stood in the shadows beside the gate is Willow Smith. Mrs. Smith,
Willow.
Willow, then. What are you doing up so early?
I could ask you the same. In fact, I will.
Well, Asher, Brixby, and I are heading to Idenvay, but Asher needs to stay another day or two for Denvaya to finish upgrading a weapon for him, so I figured that I would go on ahead, scout things out.
Uh-huh.
Willow crosses her arms and simply stares at Vargas. He looks at the ground, unable to meet her gaze. So, that man? The one singing to the stars over there. He's new in town? Willow looks over at the figure disinterestedly before focusing back on Vargas.
Yes, we thought it might have been one of Gartone's men at first, but he's just some drifter. Scared Mylan something awful. He still won't sleep in the church, but like I said, he seems harmless. He even traded with Caden the other day. But you don't really want to know about him. You're just changing the subject.
What makes you say that?
Vargas, even if you weren't one of the worst liars I've ever met, and you are, I'd know you weren't telling the truth, because if you were, Kira would be here singing you off, if not going along with you.
Oh, Kira's not coming with us, like she said at dinner.
Stop. I've raised that girl since she was an infant. I know when she's lying, too. I know she's going to Idenvay, and I'm okay with that. Kira's strong. Much stronger than I was at her age, though I'd never say that to her face. But where are you really going?
Vargas looks down again, then, slowly, meets Willow's eye. I need to leave for a while. Something happened, and I'm worried that I'll be a detriment to our team if I don't deal with it. So I have to go meet someone who can help me. I don't know exactly how to find them, or how long it'll take to do what I need to do, but I do at least know where to start looking.
So you're leaving my daughter to fend for herself?
What? No, she'll have Asher and Brixby with her. They're both more than capable enough to take care of her.
I thought you said at dinner she could take care of herself.
Yes, I did say that. Of course she can. You knew something happened then, didn't you? That's why you're here. Willow smirks.
I was an adventurer myself, after all.
She drops the smile and looks at him seriously again.
Will you come back?
I don't know. I'll have to go somewhere that, theoretically, I'd be killed on sight just for entering. I have to hope that those particular orders have been rescinded, I guess you could say. Then I have to find someone who's managed to stay hidden from Cole's government for decades, and convince them to train me after refusing them to their face barely a week back.
You aren't good at making friends, are you?
It was Vargas's turn to smile. It's not a friend. A friend would be easy. This person is family. Willow laughs.
That sounds nigh impossible. But please, for my daughter's sake, promise you'll come back. She's never made many friends, and with what happened with Parda, and the way she's attached herself to the three of you, it might not be the healthiest relationship, but it's important to her. You're important to her, so promise me.
Vargas looks at Willow and nods. I can't promise I'll come back, but I can promise that I'll try. Willow's face grows hard.
That's not good enough. Promise you will.
Vargas stares at her for a moment, and then drops to one knee. For the second time in less than 24 hours, he gives the fist-over-heart salute of a Kellid warrior. Only this time, he means it. I, Vargas Junk Punch, swear to you, Willow Smith, that I will meet back up with your daughter. Or die trying. She nods.
You'd better get moving then. The sooner you do, whatever it is you need to do, the sooner you can fulfill your promise.
Vargas nods back. He shoots one last quizzical look at the strange figure, now wandering in circles through the field, arms raised to the sky and still humming away, then adjusts his pack on his shoulders and heads out in the direction of home. This is Pod Against the Machine.
Pod Against the Machine.
Welcome back to Pod Against the Machine, the only actual play podcast that brings its own pancakes to the chicken joint. I'm your host, and here's everybody.
And they're all over the ground.
No, Radley took them.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, the pancakes are going, if not to good use, at least to use.
Also, hello.
Oh, right. Hey.
Hello.
Howdy.
So, yeah, Father Radley canonically grabbed the pancakes off the ground and ate them last time.
Like a monster.
They were in a bag.
No, that's not the point. The point is they were a symbol of friendship. They were cast aside. And then he was like, yes, I want these pancakes. And what we should have done was push them in the dirt and roll them around some.
The Radley or the pancakes?
Both.
Yes.
Well, if Radley had the pancakes, it's a 2-for-1 kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. Eating my second-hand cakes.
Well, when last we left our heroes, everybody was pretty happy. Everybody was in a good mood. Vargas was off to explore, the world as a whole, and he said goodbye to all those losers who were slowing him down, and everybody was fine with it. Nobody was sad, right?
It's all okay.
How can you say this?
You made Jeff do a visual swear.
For those at home, Jeff swore.
Jeff did a bad word.
No, I was just reenacting a popular scene from hit Marvel film, The Guardians of the Galaxy. He didn't know that was going to happen, and neither did I.
Genuinely surprised.
So, Radley has just walked away with the pancakes. He is, of course, eating them with his hands, which are covered in grave dirt. And everyone is hanging out outside Charlie the Lizard Folk's Chicken Emporium. You are not in line. And I think as we're standing here, it starts to rain because, the weather can judge the mood. So it's just a light sprinkle, but,
The acid rain from the plains.
Starts to rain and, sad piano music is coming out of nowhere. We can't tell quite where it's coming from.
It's actually, we have a traveling band in Torch that does just mood-appropriate sad songs sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, seriously, guys, read the room. We did.
We read the room.
Rent a dirge.
Like Arrested Development, where Joe Bluth keeps hearing Sound of Silence everywhere he goes.
Or just the skating song from Snoopy, Thank you. Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be a sad song, but it's really sad and Arrested Development.
Yeah. Also, if, for all you high school choir kids out there, if you're singing the alto harmony, it's almost terrifying. You can cut that out, but someone,
Nope.
Valentor, will know.
All right, so what are we doing, folks? You got a whole day in front of you. You don't have a gun for another almost 2 days.
Nope, still have a gun, just not the masterwork, soon-to-be +1 gun.
No guns. They all fell.
Denvaya took the rest as collateral.
Just stole the guns.
Well, how many days does it take to retrain your classes? I got no guns. Guess I'm going to figure that one out.
You want to be a ranger with a specialized target of Vargas.
Favored enemy Kelid. Specifically, no clan related.
Just this one right here.
Just the one, Khaled.
Mountain Fist. Favorite enemy Vargas.
Just spent the next 2 days scribing named bullets.
He had it coming.
He only had himself to blame.
If you'd have been there,
If you'd have seen it.
I tell you would have done the same.
All right, so, I mean, do you have any particular direction for the day? I know there was a little bit of talk of maybe doing some recon on a gargoyle, and you got your shopping out of the way, so not sure what else people had in mind.
What do you guys want to do? Radley, we already talked to him about, folks that we know in Miadenve. We need to potentially find other people in Miadenve. We have 2 people, right?
Cricket legs.
Yep.
Cricket legs, yep. And then somebody else. Oh, no, we have the 2 druids that
yes.
Kira's mom told us about.
Kira's mom talked about that we're like twins or whatever.
That are always fighting each other.
Yeah, Thelpin and Kifkin,
Nice.
the grumpy druids who always fight.
I mean, in terms of actually doing stuff in the town, narratively, I think Kira's probably just going to hang out with her family. And actually pretty actively, depending on what we do here, is like, I actually don't want to be around these people right now. I'm going to go. But that's not great for radio. So if we're actually doing things, like, we could be convinced to go places.
Asher is up for a little B&E and seeing whether, now that Sazaduk is, in his office hours, presumably his home may not be occupied, his temporary home. So check out that bungalow.
Okay. I mean, if we're breaking in, then obviously Kira will hang out for security's sake. Pointedly ignore Brixby, though.
Fair.
I mean, it's not. It's really not, to be fair.
No, it's not. But, yeah, no, I mean, I think that is kind of the only thing that's on our docket, that wait for the gun to get fixed. Yeah, this isn't really the fertile ground for fun role play in the town. None of us really are. I mean, just moments ago we were actually crying, so it's kind of hard to be like. I mean, crime always cheers Brixby up. So the suggestion of breaking and entering, especially with Brixby and Asher's history of successful cat burglary. I really think that, or rat burglary or whatever. Yeah, I'm down.
Well, now you can't cut that out because we can't have rat burglary not be in the episode.
Okay, so let's see. Now we're standing talking. Does someone suggest the idea of going to Gargoyle House? Asking that because Kira wouldn't.
Asher would kind of take a deep breath and try and shake it off for the moment and say he's not really looking directly at Brixby. He's just kind of looking off towards the boarding houses and say, I suppose we could see if we can't gain entry to Sazaduk's temporary residence. It's possible some of his instructions as to why he's still here and when he might leave could be lying about if they're not on his person.
Is that... You want to go over there, Asher?
Seems the most productive thing I could come up with at the moment.
Okay. Well, I can help.
I can too. But before we go, and Brixby again reaches out and just takes a small drop of mercury, blips it on the ground, and up comes this disc. Gets onto the disc, so he's about eye level with Kira and Asher. Listen, I don't know why he chose to tell me. I don't know, honestly, why Vargas does most of what he does. But there's nothing I could say to stop him. We have to believe that he's going to meet back up with us. But it is nothing that any of us said or did. And the only hope that Numeria has at this point is the 3 of us working together and hopefully making it 4 very soon.
Yeah, I think at that, like, Kira's very much, like, literally looking in the other, like, the most spiteful, pouty version of ignoring a person you can do. And then at that, like, there's nothing any of us could have said, what did you say? There's nothing any of us could have Dad, to stop him. And you get a quick... Did you even try stopping him?
I did. Yeah, I did. To a degree. But as much as any of us can really sign up for this, can we hold anyone else to the pain and the blood, the death that absolutely lays before us? He died, Kira. I know you know that he... I'm sorry. I'm not angry. It's no one's fault. If you choose to blame me, I'll understand. But know that there's nothing I could do. Let's go to that boarding house.
Asher doesn't say anything, but he does just... You could see him, his kind of frustration break. And, I mean, he looks older and tired just from the emotion of everything and the weight of what they've already had to do. And he just puts his arm around Brixby and gives him a hug. He doesn't say anything, but he gives him a hug and then starts walking.
Kira doesn't do that. Kira just starts walking.
Well, the boarding house is most of the way across town from Charlie's. You may remember this as the place where Sandville had a room rented, where Brixby spent a couple nights, I believe. And it's run by super memorable NPC that we all totally remember really well, Agrin Most.
Whereas you remember exactly what his voice sounded like.
Oh, yeah, definitely, exactly. And he has like an office in the sort of center building at the front, and then there's a row of, I believe, 9 cottages, like little 1 or 2 room, basically shacks behind him, sort of at the edge of the town. So you don't actually know which one is Sazaduk's. You know Sandville's was the one at the end that was almost kind of falling over the side of the hill a little bit. We're going to start breaking into buildings. Break into all of them.
Before we go in, we should talk strategy. Do we intend to discuss with Bungalow Bill here? I'm sorry, it's canon. Which room belongs to our friend? Or do we intend to divin it ourselves?
Like 30 seconds away from Kira says, Asher, tell Brixby that I will just start breaking windows.
Oh my god.
I'd love to avoid that, but also this is going to be the vibe for like the next 2 episodes, and I apologize to all of our listeners and Zach and Brixby in particular.
Why did you do this to me, Jarrell?
I've been thinking about this all week, and I was like, that's not nice. Not nice is what I was going to say. I was like, you really put Brix in an uncomfortable position here. Yikes. Well, what are you going to do?
Asher will just sigh, kind of shut his eyes for a second, and then say, Brixby, Kira says to tell you she's going to just start breaking windows. And then he'll look to Kira and say, this is not sustainable. I'll play messenger for now while you cool off, but eventually you two will have to talk. I understand it's been like 10 minutes, so it doesn't have to be now, but maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, or maybe we'll get lucky and, he'll just let someone else walk away in the middle of the night and we won't have to worry about it.
I think we have different definitions of luck, and I'm not going to pull the religious card, but literally, my deity is of luck. But in any case, luck comes in all forms, and perhaps we can talk about that later. I guess we could talk to our dear friend and memorable townsperson, Agrin Most, and see. Do either of you want to disguise yourself as a gargoyle and say, I forgot my key? Because that could be a lark.
Yeah, should we flip a coin to see which one of us would do better at impersonating a hulking gargoyle? And then Brixby, realizing no laugh at that, he's like, well, here's the thing. So, Sam, can Agrin Most see from his, like you said, it's kind of like a normal campground setup, right? Like there's the center cabin, and then they are all in like a semicircle sort of around it.
Yeah.
So he's got that half panopticon vibe. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's really no feasible way, save Bricks going invisible, which he can do for a considerable period of time. I guess up to 14 minutes if we wanted to do use off the rod today, right? Mm-hmm. And then I could just open pretty much every door of every place that doesn't appear occupied and hope that no one sees these doors sort of opening in, opening out. I mean, I will say I do play a character that has a bunch of mechanics for stuff like this.
Fair.
So if there's anybody to sneak into places, we can do that. I do worry if we at all making it like let Agron Moss see us that they're going to mention something.
I wonder if it would be worth it for Bricks to go invisible and go into the center building and just see if there's like a logbook, like a just telling you straight up which bungalow everybody who's currently in is in. Like usually that's just like sitting on a desk type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know how. I mean, that would probably be a pretty intense opposed perception roll against my sleight of hand to take the ledger directly in front of his face.
Well, I mean, just to like look at it when you're invisible. I mean,
Okay.
We could also just kind of wander and do a cash take 10 survival and see if there's one of the bungalows that has obvious gargoyle tracks.
do they have like windows you can look through? Like you could act like you're just like walking along and stare through. Though I don't know if he'd have anything inside that would be obvious.
A picture of his gargoyle wife and child.
Is there like a stone sock on a door anywhere that would give it away?
I think our best bet, and I don't think that's a bad idea, Jero, that just presumes that it is available and something that he can get at, which I think is possible. But if it's not on the same page and it's not open, it's going to be kind of hard for me to get in there and look at it. So I think our next best bet, in my opinion, is we come up with a plausible thing that we could give to him. Like, we just sold all of our crappy technological items. But I was wondering if there was something that we could come up with where we're just like, we found this tech item or we had this thing, some reasonable excuse to try to, but I just don't understand why we would leave it at his boarding house and not at the office where he's at, where we know where he is all the time. So I guess that kind of takes the wind out of my sails. It would be a little bit of a stretch of the imagination.
I will say though, the proprietor doesn't know that you already know where Zazaduk is spending his time. And Zazaduk didn't bother to take names down. So you can go up to, and I forgot his name already. What is it, Moss?
Alston George?
Agron Moss?
Agron Moss.
Yeah.
I threw a D in there. I was close.
Carrie Ann Moss.
So Moss doesn't know that you guys already know where Zazaduk is during the day. So you can go up to Moss and say, hey, we have info we want to give to him. What room is he staying in?
But we are also the only rat teenager cowboy trio, I think, in town. If there is another one, then
surprised.
To be fair, most people in town by now have probably picked up a hat from Western Night.
That's fair. That is fair.
Well, if they did go on clearance after the Silver Disc Hall closed, they were giving them away.
And one of those. There's just little carts selling punchable Brixby faces that you can also wear. So rehashing this plan, we can disguise ourselves, go in, and say that we have something to drop off for him, but we run the risk of Bungalow Bill just being like, cool, leave it with me, like any reasonable proprietor would not. Do you want to just go into their room and wait? We could dress up like little gargoyles and say that we're his family that have come to surprise him and see.
Well, I mean, just say you have to talk to him and say, like, what door is his so we can go knock on it.
Yeah, that's fair. The only other thing I could think is that one of us could play at, like, not being from here at all. Mm-hmm. Still would require disguising yourself and be like, I have something from Starfall for Dukes of Hazzard.
Sensitive material, we can't bring it. You could be walking it through town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like 2 people in town who've seen Asher without a hat on. So,
Well, you have met this guy before.
There's just another face under there, so Asher's just going to put his head down.
It's a poor Edward situation. There's a twin.
Yes.
Secretly, Zay thought people Baracks this whole time.
Potentially unhelpfully, I guess, especially if we want to go with more of a stealth route here. I do still have a pretty strong intimidate. My whole thing was like, look, Kira's in a mood now. Like, let's just go and be like, show us this guy's room or things will get rough. And then don't tell him about it, please, because we're the good guys.
My last recommendation is a combination of the two. You both go in and talk to him about Sandville. And just get angry. Smash stuff if you want to. Like, freak out about Sandville. Something relating to Sandville and, like, do you realize what he almost did to this town or something along those lines? So he is not looking outside. And then Brixby, invisible, breaks into everything and just sees what happens. That would make the most fun radio, probably, in terms of a combination of high-stakes mechanics rolls and you guys having to improv anger for, like, 10 minutes.
I would say also, like, imagine not too many people in town like this guy or his boss that force them to pay taxes and come into town every few months and rough everybody up and steal all their tech. You might just be able to ask him what room that they're staying in, and he'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy. Screw him. He's in apartment 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, how do we guarantee his silence after the effect? This is the question the Mafia has been asking for years. So
It's nothing new. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking that last plan is, like you said, the most fun and speaks to everyone's sort of current
Mood.
offerings. And it really, I don't think for anyone would even be role-playing anger for just, great, this is great. Let's just role-play 10 minutes of being upset about our friend while Brixby breaks into things.
that is playing to our strengths. Who has the rod, by the way? Do I have the rod?
Probably Bricks.
Vargas.
Yeah, Vargas took it with him.
It makes the most sense that you would have it, Bricks.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
excellent. So Brick's got that rod. I think we were just all so like, ooh, Kite and Dinvaya, that we were just like, yeah, rod, whatever. All right, how about this? You go in with a certifiable anger and then looking to Asher and questions about Sandville and his place in the plot to either overthrow the current government or the torch or whatever, while I just break into everything back there and hopefully not get caught. I'll take both of your silence as concession.
Enthusiastic.
Then, and then with that he pulls out the rod and I think it's an eyelash. Yep, an eyelash encased in gum arabic. And he's gone.
As soon as he goes, Kira looks at Asher and is like, he's going to be like, fine, right?
Yeah, probably. Want to go get some chicken?
Yeah.
They just go and get back in line like this never happened.
Yeah, got him.
And that was how the very capable 4 finally broke apart.
Yeah.
There you go inside, you're like, there's an invisible rat trying to rob you. Anyway.
Yes.
All right, let's start with the main office with this distraction.
I think Kira walks in, chainsaw already running, because I get an extra boost to intimidate that way.
Dear Lord.
Just makes the larger door.
I'm like, I'm really in my head seeing her just get, and then, because that's the noise that a chainsaw makes, I think, and then you just shove in that larger door area, or kick it in, probably. I guess that's the most intimidating way. Chainsaw running, approaches that desk.
And the guy sitting at the desk is maybe half dozing a little bit. He's got a cowboy hat from, of course, Wild West night at the Silver Disc Hall, kind of tipped down over his eyes, but he pops up at the sound of the chainsaw and looks around like kind of pretty obviously shocked, and like taps on his pockets and like goes like, hello, what can I do for you?
You let a person stay here some time ago, and that person's a bad person. I would like to talk to them, please.
You might need to narrow it down a little bit. And he like takes out his book.
Oh, do you let a lot of bad people stay here at your gross, awful hotel?
I don't really check usually how good or bad they are. It's kind of their business usually, and I just got the rooms.
You don't detect alignment when people come to stay in your establishment?
I don't have that spell, sir. I just asked for a deposit and first and last night's, not rent, because it's not like a, whatever you pay the money for first and last night is what I do.
Kind of a down payment situation. I think that you have a responsibility to make sure that your tenants are not jerks.
They were jerks like here? Like, did they bring people here and be jerks at them, or like not here be jerks at them?
In some cases, in theory, they were just jerks about town.
Well, I would say that I am not personally liable for any jerkitude about town of anyone who may or may not be staying on these premises.
I would disagree. I want to push something off the desk, just real gently, just like a kind of a cat situation. Just if there's anything, I don't know, there's like a flower pot or a cup of pens.
Silver etching of his children.
He's got one of those sets of the clacky balls, but they're Numerian, so they're very, from space. But boy, do they clack if you knock them down.
I'm gonna shove those over. No more clacking today.
He winces and goes, if we could all just calm down, I'm sure we can get to the bottom of whatever it is that is the problem. I don't even really know what the problem is.
Hey, speaking of problems, lots of things happening in this town wouldn't have happened in this town if it weren't for one of your previous tenants of ill repute.
I mean, like, objectively speaking, lots of things happen with each person that exists just while they're around. Not passing any judgment, like things are happening around you right now. Am I to blame for that?
He's a philosopher. Get him.
Oh, they're happening.
What we're
I didn't
saying
mean
is
any
a lot
offense.
of those things were bad, and a lot of those things are your fault. So what are you going to do to fix them for us, Mr. Allen
Most.
Most?
I can offer you a complimentary mint, and they'll pick up like the little bowl and hold it out.
She knocks it out of his hand. I don't want your mints.
I'm gonna need a roll for intimidation on
Great,
the
yes, please.
mint slapping.
Well, that's an 8 on the die, but an 8 plus a 16, so like what? 30,
God.
24? 24.
Yeah, so he squeals audibly and like actually jumps backwards, and since he's kind of standing over his chair, he kind of stumbles a little bit and almost falls down, but doesn't actually fall down. And he goes like, "All right, I don't even know who we're talking about, or I don't know what I did."
His name was... Are we saying his name? His name is fine. His name was Sandville. Where did he stay?
And he thinks for a second. Samville used to be in number 9, but he's been gone for weeks. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen him since before the torch came back on.
Yes, and yet the chaos that has come in his wake and from his actions still continues to haunt this town to this day.
I don't know nothing about no chaos. I mean, he's, he smelled bad and he would come here and then he'd leave and then he'd come back sometimes, but he ain't come back yet. I could, if you want to leave him a note that says, like, you're bad, go away, I could keep that and give it to him the next time he comes.
Are you going to go around the town and offer every person here that you've ruined a mint?
I'd probably have to buy more mints.
You should do that.
I could buy like a big bowl of mints and like go to like the market on Fire Day and just put like the whole bowl there in like a note that says like, take one each.
We need you culpable in these actions. Take one because I'm sorry that I did not do due diligence in checking on the goodness or badness of my tenants, and now everything is ruined because of me, and I am so mean. Sincerely, Mossman.
There's a difference between leaving a bowl of mints and going door to door, humbling yourself and apologizing.
Well, that's a lot of doors. I mean, what if I could stand behind the mints and I could say I was sorry to each person as they take a mint?
Kira takes out the chainsaw and just cuts off a little piece of desk, and it's like... He said stand
It's like cuts off a little piece of
desk, just a tiny, tiny piece of desk.
Okay.
A little triangle-shaped piece of desk, just enough to say, his instructions were very clear.
I don't remember what they were. I'm getting flustered. Are you going to pay for the damage to my desk?
Yeah, if you're not careful, she'll turn it into a bear.
She does apologize and offer him a handful of the mints that she dropped on the floor. I can offer mints in restitution.
They've got broken glass in them.
Whose fault is that? Don't answer that.
Asher will just blow the glass off.
Just helps get the mint into your bloodstream quicker. Don't you worry about it.
Oh, yeah. It's like the Goldschlager of mint.
Oh, boy.
Well, now that you've rumpled his mints, why don't we cut to Brixby?
Oh, thank the Lord.
All right. So Brixby is invisible for... well, first I have to ask, was that an intentional, like, schnapps joke that you made after Goldschlager when you said rumple is mints?
Yeah.
Because, okay, that's what okay, I'm sorry for making you explain that joke, because I thought it was brilliant.
I was pretty proud of it. It's,
Rumpelmans is like a peppermint schnapps, if folks don't know. It's a fantastic joke. So Brix, invisible. Let's see, there's seven of these?
There are 9, and like
9.
Sandville used to stay in the one on the far left, which was number 9. So I think sort of know that they count down, or like number 1's probably the far right, and etc.
Is the fumigation tent still over number 9 to try and get all the stank out?
I think probably they got the door propped open on that one. All the windows. It's going to be some time before that one gets rented again.
So yeah, speaking of which, do I see any signs in any of these of current occupation? Do I see like the windows open, hear the sounds of anybody talking, see people moving inside? Any of these? I can make a general perception.
Yeah, why don't you give me a perception?
Alrighty. That is a 16 for a 29.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you can tell that number 9 is definitely not in use. It looks like it's still sort of under delousing protocols. It looks like there are a couple occupied right now over towards the right. Like there's people in them. They've got maybe smoke coming out of the chimney, like the little stovepipe from a couple of them. Most of the other ones look dark. There's a decent amount of like foot traffic signs from the bulk of them. Looks like, yeah, it's sort of very hardened ground, so it's not really the kind that would keep much of a trail. But since it is lightly raining now, if anyone had come and gone in the past few minutes, you'd see. But it doesn't look like anybody's very recently come and gone.
Yeah, I have a +1 survival too, so that would be like an impossible roll. So it's 3 of them are occupied. How many of them could I tell are currently occupied?
I would say 2 of them occupied over in the lower numbers, like number 2 and number 4.
Okay. So I guess Brixby will start with number 8 and then work his way down towards 5. And then when he gets to 5, skip 4 and then skip 2. So yeah, I will start with trying to pop the lock on number 8 if it is not unlocked already. Do you want a general stealth roll for everything too? Or do you want like an individual stealth roll with each disabled device?
I don't think I'm going to require the general stealth roll just because the number's going to be absurd.
That's what I figured, yeah, because it would be pretty high.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so do you want me to just kind of pop disabled devices in the chat?
Yeah, why don't you go for that, starting with number 8, if you're trying the door. It does appear to be locked.
That is a nat 20 for a 35.
Well, I think Brixby's pretty familiar with this particular rather crappy kind of lock, and he knows that he just gets the lockpick along the side of the door. He can flip the latch right up and get the door open without anybody being the wiser.
All right, he quickly moves in, shuts the door behind him. What does he see?
It looks a lot like Sandville's, sort of the 2-room kind of deal where there's like a sitting area that takes up most of the building with like the stove and like a little table and stuff. And in the back, there's just a very narrow bedroom with a single bed in it. Looks totally unoccupied. Doesn't look like anybody's stuff is here or anything.
Alrighty, I'm going to slip on out and progress to number 7 then. Are you kidding me? Is that another 20?
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. That's another 20. You really know how to work these locks.
Unfortunately, the door to number 7 is a mimic, and it just pops up and goes, huh? No. I'm kidding. It's exactly the same to open up as the last one, and you see a very similar deal in here. It doesn't look like anybody's using this one right now.
All right, he's going to move to 6. Oh, there it is. There's a 4 for a 19.
Well, as I said before, these are crappy locks, and maybe Brixby's a little bit clumsier with this one. It makes a little bit more noise, but pops it open, and this cabin, while being basically identical to the others, it's clearly occupied. It's got a bunch of neat stacks of paper up on the desk. It's got carefully folded like sets of clothing. It has like a big mace sort of leaned up against the wall, and everything is immaculately clean and just like very carefully ordered. But somebody's definitely been staying there.
All right, he's going to move to the desk and start looking at the papers.
That can't be the right one. Sazduke hates maces.
It's true. He's more of a puff daddy kind of.
Oh, yeah. He became a youth preacher later. Mace, in case anyone's wondering. Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, there's all sorts of papers here. They're organized into piles. So, I mean, are you like gonna carefully go through each one? Are you just sort of flipping through, looking for interesting stuff? What's the plan of attack here?
Yeah, I guess looking at the top sheet on piles, can I kind of determine what the nature of each pile is? Can I first primarily determine that this is the type of like bureaucratic ephemera appropriate for an attaché from Starfall, or is this just like Terry the Maced tax collector's room? Like, this is all of his stuff. So I guess first, what am I gauging just by looking at the tops of all of the piles?
I mean, you see like basically a set of it appears to maybe be a hand-done copy of the complete penal code for Numeria as of the beginning of this year. Just like very neatly stacked with lots of little tabs on it with pages marked. And then like on the next one over, it looks like there is essentially a hand-drawn spreadsheet with a list of names on it, all sorts of names, and then just like the tiniest bits of notes next to each one. And then next to that, there's a stack labeled Sandville Tret. And then next to that, there's like an inventory, like a list of items with notes on them and stuff like that. So what are you looking at in more detail?
I think I'm going to go with the first of the three that you mentioned, the names with the notes. I think that's the first one that I'm going to start with. And then, if you need to go away from me, that's fine. But yeah, that's where he's going to dive into the hand-drawn spreadsheet first, assuming that it's notes from interviews with people, because it seemed like we were kind of trying to get a good idea of maybe what he already knows. The Sandville stack is appealing, but I do understand that at least as it relates to us, this is probably the first thing we should figure out. So that's where he's going to start.
So this list is, after flipping through a few pages of it, it appears to be a list of everyone or nearly everyone in Torch. And most of them just have a very brief note, like next to their name, like a physical description, maybe a list of what their occupation is and their address. And then just like a little note like this person's labeled compliant, this person's labeled potential criminal, stuff like that. You see like Dinvaya's in there and towards the end of the list, and she's listed as Bry Priest.
How about us? Are we in there?
Oh yeah.
And what's our notes?
You're the last four people on the list. And there's physical descriptions of you. Looks like he got the names from what's her face from Dolga after you guys left. So even though he didn't write them down at the time, he did get them, complete with Vargas's fake name that escapes me right now.
Bronmel, which is the first name of one of the guys that showed up with his mom and the last name of the other one.
But does he spell everyone's names correctly? I'd really love to see him struggling with how to spell Halech. And
he
bricks.
nailed it.
He's got a picture of a brick and 3 bees flying around.
No, it just says Frisbee Rent-Tail on mine.
No, it says Bricks Bees.
Is there a Y in Smith?
Oh, yeah.
Great.
He got it. Yeah, the four of you are listed as potential troublemaker, ?
All right. So Brixby clearly using his linguistic skill just blots that out and writes totally not troublemakers beside all of our names. And that's good. No. So cool. I guess, yeah. Is there any other notes on anybody like Dolga, any of the other kind of named NPCs that might jump out at us in terms of like, oh God?
Yeah, it looks like Dolga is listed as cooperating, basically town founder. Looks like all favorable marks for her. Connor gets noted as a bartender, double amputee, like sour expression, stuff like that. Just basically makes him seem like Sazaduk's not super interested in him and doesn't have him listed as a member of the town council, which is of note. There's an entry in there labeled Aluen, and there's almost no notes on this one. It just says vagrant and then strange.
What does it say about Garrett, though? Is there like 4 pages?
Garrett has an entire page dedicated to him, and it says Garrett Burwaddle, and a whole bunch of notes have been scratched out, and then he just drew a frowny face.
Yeah, I like the idea of like potential source crossed out, maybe source of info crossed out, nuisance underlined like 8 times.
Revisiting it every day as it gets worse.
I'm going to commit that last name to memory, Aluen, because that's one of the ones I don't know in Torch, which is a relatively small town. I think at this point, with all of the parades that we force them to hold for us, I'm pretty sure we know everyone's name. We also did that thing at the end of basketball where they all stayed in a line with their hands out, and we walked down and just high-five each and every single one of the members of the town. So after like the 456th, I'm pretty sure that Brixby knows everybody, but Aluen, that's a name he does not recognize. So yeah, I don't know if you want to go back to our friends.
We'll just cut briefly to the empty lot behind Charlie the Lizard Folks Chicken Emporium. What's going on back there?
There is someone who is crouched down with their hand out with some seed in it, attempting to coax the chickens over to them. And the chickens are all huddled up in the opposite corner, desperately trying to get out of the pen they're in.
Then we'll cut back into the office, where Most has extensive notes on all of the apologies that he is supposed to write to everyone, and he is eating a mint and going, "This is so super good. You feel free to take as many as you want. I'm gonna get more anyways."
See, as we were talking about the Code of Chaldea's Uzayastan, mischief brings joy to those who partake in it, but must never come at the expense of another's well-being. And the problem is, and it just kind of wah, 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 wah.
And we have the businessman transcribing the entire code of Chaldea. All right, back to Brixby. What's he doing?
All right, so I believe of the remaining two, while the item inventory sounds interesting, I can't not look at the Sandville Tret. Gotta look at the Sandville Tret.
Well, the Sandville Tret stack of papers mostly seems to be it's written like a missing persons report. It has like the last report from Sandville came on Eridus the 6th, and the last sighting in Torch that anyone's admitted to was on Eridus the 12th, and sort of trying to reconstruct his travels, where he might have gone, who he might have associated with, and like lists of people's interviews about Sandville, what they knew of him, and where he might have gone. So it looks like he was looking for him.
Is Brix in there?
Brixby is listed as a potential contact for Sandville, yeah.
Now, is
Fair.
that Brixby spelled the same as the Brixby that he met in Dolga's office?
There's like 7 alternate spellings.
Yeah, Frisbee Redtail and Brixby Redtail are two completely different people.
And then finally, the inventory, the item inventory for sure, or what appears to be like some sort of item inventory.
Yeah, that's basically like a cataloging of technological items found in Torch amongst the people, all the stuff that people admitted to. So there's the entry on there for the chainsaw and the VMod goggles and stuff, and he has like his notes on them on what needs to be followed up on, what has like suspicious seeming stories. He keeps very meticulous records.
Are any of ours suspicious?
I don't think he's listed them as particularly suspicious. They have been flagged, at least the auto grapnel and the chainsaw, as potentially valuable, but that's about it.
And is there any notes indicating that anyone's surrendered any technological items to him?
It doesn't look like he's tried to seize anything, but it's hard to say if that's because he hasn't come up against anything that seemed interesting enough, or if he just isn't doing that while he's in town by himself.
Nothing dangerous or particularly valuable.
Yeah, nothing seemed to have risen to the level that he needed to step in and seize, or
no neurocams.
Yeah, no artifacts here, buddy.
Yeah, he
no
definitely
multiple
didn't.
Artifacts.
It's notable that the Clockwork Chapel, the Temple of Bride, just had a really cool old end table that looked sort of like a boombox, but probably wasn't.
It's definitely probably nothing, definitely.
And do I see anything else in the room besides the mace? Like in the desk drawers, do I see anything else besides those 3 sacks of papers and the mace and maybe, various traveling sundries or whatnot?
It looks pretty mundane. Traveling equipment, bunch of Hungry Man's all the discarded things very carefully cleaned out and stacked neatly in the garbage bin, and all the boxes have been collapsed and then folded neatly and placed next to it for recycling. But nothing terribly interesting.
Excellent. All right. Well, unless anybody wants to convey to Bricks via telepathy what they would like him to do inside of this space, I believe that he has exhausted the information available.
I mean, except for the secret drawers in the desk, right?
All of them secret drawers.
Gotta get those secret drawers.
Filled with additional chainsaws, one maybe small size.
Oh my god, that'd be so cute.
I just meant, you looked at the documents on the desk. What about if you rotate the lower, the front left leg 45 degrees, and it makes the compartment slide out?
Then it does reveal the whole secret evil plan.
Thank you. And specifically, when is he leaving?
He's been keeping notes on that, right? Good thing I'm going home in 3 days.
So he's carrying that stuff on him and his trapper keeper.
When you twist the leg, it actually opens up to a basement, and Unity's down there.
He's got all his important stuff in an attaché case, handcuffed to his wrist, of course. I don't know where he got handcuffs big enough for a huge gargoyle wrist, but probably custom job. But I am going to need either a bluff check or a stealth roll to sort of check how good of a job Brixby's doing covering his tracks being in here.
Fair. So we're going to go with a stealth roll, but I will not add, obviously, the plus 20 or 40 from my invisibility here. So just my normal stealth. A 15. I rolled another 4. 2 20s and then 2 4s.
At that point, you just start throwing papers all over the place.
Bricks was here.
Clearly someone was here, so just flip the desk over and run.
Well, you just took a couple selfies and then...
Left them there.
Yeah, well, he took them with Sazaduk's phone.
Oh, snap.
All right, that result has been noted.
And yeah, with that, because Brixby has no idea how good his stealth roll was, he leaves.
I would say about that time, we've exhausted the distraction in the main office.
There's so little desk left. That desk is basically a sliver of what it was.
Yeah, you've ruined this man's life.
And most importantly, Agrin, you will defend the children in particular from abuse and evil, so their unwritten future can remain bright. We can't do that without you. And we can't guarantee that if we just let any old Numerian fluid junkie come here and cause havoc. So I thank you for your attentiveness to this lesson, and look forward to hearing the story of your redemption as you apologize to the townsfolk. Good day, sir.
Yeah. Now that you're a good guy again, sorry about your desk. And she'll just kind of scoop the pile of wood chips into a pile. It's vaguely rectangular, and set a mint on top. Okay, bye.
He's stunned speechless as you exit his totally ruined office.
Or was there something symbolic in dismantling the desk of one who didn't care, so that when his new desk is created, it's one that breathes life into the community? Or Kira's just mad and wanted to break stuff.
I mean, it could be both.
Why not?
I probably should have put one of those grenades inside the fireplace, huh? So when he starts to make the fire later, it blows up. There's no way he can figure out that I went through his papers, because clearly,
Oh, it's good.
Mr. Moss just has a defective fireplace at that point. We'll just retcon that, right, Sam? Just a little zero grenade in the old... I'm kidding.
Oh, do you want to
don't
do
do
that? Do you want to?
Absolutely
He
not.
turns on the fire to cook his Hungry Monsters humanoid. It just bursts. totally ruining. You got the mashed potatoes, the corn all mixed together. It's inedible.
You're only supposed to poke like 4 holes in the plastic. Now it's all holes. It's more hole than film.
The zero grenade goes off and just embeds all of the frozen corn inside the brownie and then freezes it again.
Yeah. I love that you picked out of all of our grenades the zero grenade to hide in the fireplace. Like, it goes off and just freezes everything.
This fireplace is clearly not up to code.
My stove
It's
is so
broken.
cold. Doesn't make any sense.
Hook the Freon line instead of the natural gas line. You hate to see it.
So Brixby's going to walk up to both of them, still not visible again, and just be like, all right, let's go. And once we're out of sight, provided that they do come with me, then Brixby is going to dispel invisibility. So, how did it go?
It went. I have mixed feelings about how my alignment looks going forward, but at least there were some attempts to spread the truths of... Yeah, I think it went pretty badly, I'll be honest. On the bright side, mints, am I
I
right?
thought you did really good. And mints. Sometimes we make tough choices, but it doesn't mean we're bad people. Sometimes we make bad choices, and it does mean we're bad people. But that's not you, Asher.
You can't make an omelet without breaking a few mints. Asher will just nod, like he got that idiom dead on.
My grandmother used to say that.
Nailed it.
So, well, I don't have too much to report that we couldn't surmise ourselves. I did find this bungalow. Fastidiously neat it is, and 3 stacks of paper in addition to Numeria's updated penal code for our incredibly carceral friend here. 1 was an inventory of all the technological items in town, including ours. Some he indicated a dubious provenance. Next was a list of everyone in town with an appropriate commentary. Some labeled as compliant, cooperating. Others, like, looks around. 3 of us here labeled potential troublemakers. So, well, let's just say we should tread even more carefully than we already have. Finally, he had a small dossier on Stanville. His disappearance seems as if they're trying to trace that, determine who he talked to last, his associates, etc. I'm in there, but amidst other names. I think we should keep a very low profile before we leave, and consider leaving as soon as we possibly can, as soon as that gun is done.
You mentioned an inventory of everyone in town. Did you see anything about that whole yellow situation? We'll know them when we see them type of person that Radley was speaking about? I'm curious to get Sazaduke's impression of the individual.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I didn't recognize one name. Aluin. Not quite sure. They didn't have a phonetic description beside there, and he has very bad handwriting. It's honestly kind of out of character for somebody as neat as him, but that's aside. So wherever Aluin is, they are described as a vagrant and strange. Believe this is the same individual that Radley mentioned. Possibly hanging around Charlie's or your dad's shop.
Wait, my dad's shop?
Yes, no.
That's on a whole other continent. This guy gets around.
I know. No, I understand. I did the face thing where I just point with it. Yeah, no, I meant big stuff, yeah. Sorry, Asher, can you tell big stuff? I mean, I'm kidding. No.
and yeah, no, true
Yeah,
to
no.
form. Kira had been ignoring it until Dad came up.
Caden's shop. He might know more about this individual, but I don't know. At first, I was worried they might be Technic League, or something else, maybe from Scrap Wall, Starfall. But if Sazaduk doesn't know him, then, well, maybe we should get to.
Very reluctantly, Kira sort of turns to look not quite at Brixby, just around. Do you think my dad is in trouble?
I didn't see anything besides compliant next to his name, did I? I guess I didn't ask specifically about him, so.
Yeah, I mean, there were no red flags on anyone in Kira's family, which I suppose Brixby definitely would have thought to check them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were.
He is far more considerate than I am.
There were notes under Sage to check up on that boyfriend in Hajatha Kados.
Does he exist? Question mark.
Real?
Quote from her is, "You wouldn't know him." So,
Which is fair.
yeah, I mean,
She doesn't know where he went to school. Go Wyverns. Kados Wyverns. But, yeah, no, it seems like your whole family is clear, except for that suspicious boyfriend that Sage keeps mentioning. I think is, well, seems dubious if he exists, but...
Yeah, no, we don't think he does.
Yeah, I always considered that outside the scope of this adventure.
Doesn't have to be, if we're really concerned. We could. How far is it? Could we go there while my gun's being enchanted?
True, book 3.
Never the mystery of Sage's boyfriend.
book 3, all side quests all the time.
Oops, all tangents.
Yeah, your family seems safe. So, I think we have a lot of time to kill and not much more to learn about Sazaduk or why he's here. Seems he's here for the same express purpose that we were afeard of, and we are the type of suspicious thing he's looking for. So, we should probably meet up with the other very suspicious thing and really just solidify that we're very suspicious as much as possible.
If they're hanging around my dad's shop, we should at least look into them in case something is weird.
Yeah, the Technic League aren't the only baddies. Numeria, I'm sure that what we found under Torch and what we stirred up in Scrap Wall very easily bring the weirdos out of hiding. So, it's probably, yeah, let's go do a welfare check on this guy.
Yeah, maybe you can, make friends with him, Brix, and then just, abruptly leave if you're kind of bored. Sound like a plan?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to summon this disc again. Wait, what is going on? Oh, I got the mercury on my paw. Do you think that's bad?
Yes.
No.
You're both saying it at the same time. Brix looks at both of them.
As one who has alchemical expertise, I could say, well, you're just a failed fortitude save away from a memory.
Sandville would be proud. Alright, maybe we go find them. Do you want to go by your dad's shop?
Asher, do you want to go by my dad's shop?
I think it bears some investigation. We, as much as we have cared for and do care for this town, we are, at the end of the day, not its guards of keeping everyone in or out. It's worth looking into if we worry that they're in danger, but I also don't think it's realistic or necessarily in our purview to, no matter what we have Agrin Most believe, make sure that everyone who walks the streets of Torch registered with us as good people. They can come in and do business and leave. I can't blame them for wanting to get some of Charlie's delicious chicken.
Well, maybe we can just make sure that they've had some chicken. You know, from a distance.
Yeah. I mean, if that, small dossier on Sandville is any indicator, Sazaduk is looking for circumstantial, at best, evidence, connection of collusion. I think that it is fair out of, due diligence and just prudence.
It's just noticing that Kira's still not looking at him, and he's just like,
Kira's family. Let's go do it. Kira's family. We gotta go look.
And I will say, if Mylan Radley thinks this person is weird, that says quite a bit in itself.
yeah. Right? I did kind of just gloss over that. That is true. That is, without a doubt, the biggest of the red flags.
He staples bodies to robots.
Staples them right
I was
up
about
there.
to say Mylan robot stapler Radley.
Which thankfully Sazaduk didn't stumble upon the robot corpse fighting rink.
Unless he's invested in it.
Oh, that's fair.
Goes all the way to the top.
Plus he hasn't been here for Shovel Knight. But who cares? Explosions!
So on to see our new BFF, probably. It's out of character.
Keep that chainsaw running. We don't know whether they're friend or foe.
That's fair.
In fact, maybe we just... Asher loads his gun. Shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah, there's been a whole alignment shift this episode. Vargas's disappearance has pushed the whole party to neutral.
Anti-paladin.
Vargas was clearly the party's moral center.
Book 3, Asher is just a monster.
Yeah.
Kicking space pigs.
Turns out the only thing stopping him from going chaotic evil was having Vargas in the party.
He's worried about that junk punch.
Well, you know the Torch Guild house well enough. It's back over in the main commercial sector, so back towards Charlie's and everything. It's a large building that is bustling with activity now. You know, the torch is back on. There's lots of people going in and out with their carts and various equipment and stuff. If you head in there, the older town council member, Beslundi Otterby, is behind the desk. She's got the goggles up on her head that everybody who does this metalwork seems to always just have on their forehead and never actually over their eyes. It's just, you know, they're mostly just a uniform. But she smiles as you all come in and goes, hello! How do you find yourselves? Don't all greet me at once.
Typically I meditate on Chaldea's scriptures, and I find myself in the calamitous turn's grace. How do you find yourself, Baslundi?
Well, now that it's gotten all philosophical, I'm doubting my answer. I was going to say pretty good.
Yeah, we thought it was pretty good too. Now we know. Everything is fine.
A moment of depressed silence passes over the room.
VT3 just traipses throughout the town.
Joy Division riff
It
plays.
starts raining again. That piano music comes back just for a second and then goes away.
So, is there anything I can do for you? You want me to go get Caden, or...?
Yes, please.
Just one moment. And she'll jog off into the back, and a few minutes pass in silence, and then Caden returns, and he's, actually wearing his goggles, because he was working with hot metal and stuff. He's got, the lead apron on, and, all that protective gear, because he's very OSHA compliant. He says, Kira, Asher, Brixby, what can I do for you?
Look at my chainsaw. But also we had a question.
Yeah, when you said minutes of silence passed, you meant other than the always
Quiet
present
word.
chainsaw in the background.
That's just white noise at this point.
We're looking for someone, or, looking for information about someone. There's a new person, well, new something in town, and they've been hanging around the shop. Do you know them?
Yeah, he thinks for a second, and then he nods. There was, I want to say a fellow. I'm not 100% sure on that, but he was in here a couple days ago. It was pretty strange. You're talking, yellow robe situation, hidden face, very...
Yes, I'm told it was all yellow.
It was.
That was a cold play, Jeff.
They had a dagger, the ornately jewel-encrusted thing of... must have been some kind of ceremonial piece, not really a useful item as a weapon. But they traded it just the other day for, I want to say, an adamantine weapon of sorts. He'll head over to a case like by the desk and open it up, rifle it through things, and produce like this absurd, overly gemstoned dagger that looks like it's some kind of sky metal. And it looks like, bulky, and like the grip would hurt your hand, and like poorly bound. Like it looks like if you fought with it, you'd hurt yourself more than you'd.
Yeah, it looks like it's like purely for decorative purposes, like ceremonial use. It does not look like something you could actually do anything with.
Would a knowledge local tell us anything about where it might be from?
Maybe a knowledge
religion, maybe.
Yeah.
Natural 19 on that knowledge religion for a 26.
Ooh, spicy. I would say that this sort of ritual dagger is the type of thing you might find generally in more Ustalavic cult territory. There's lots of different flavors of those cults, but they, generally speaking, have the sort of blood sacrifice or blood magic angles. Just pleasant things. Not the kind of thing you find around here, and certainly not the most conventional kind of god worship.
This is a troubling find. I think it's best that we track down this individual after all to see what their intentions are here in town. This is an unsettling weapon, to say the least.
Wait, why?
It's hard to say specifically to what higher power this might be dedicated, but a weapon like this is usually, as far as I know, and it's thankfully not my area of expertise, but for either blood magic or blood sacrifice. And I mean, blood sugar crazy. She has it.
Yeah, I was going to make a terrible Red Hot Chili Peppers joke, so that's fine. That's just as good.
Okay, well, if they could be trouble, then yeah. Let's hunt them down. Dad, you said they haven't been here in a couple days?
They've been hanging around town. I keep seeing them over by Charlie's, or hanging out at the Temple of Bry. They seem to be sort of circling the place like they're casing the joint, but they've been harmless enough in my experience with them, just strange and unsettling.
Just counting crows.
Yeah, stone face on that one.
Well, this sounds like, we could have a mob on our hands then. This sounds like a good old light up the torches, grab the pitchforks. You all have pitchforks here. Right.
Oh, we have many varieties of pitchfork. We do the 4-prong, the 3-prong, the sort of...
So you do the 4-prong in small?
We might have some children's ones, but I can't promise the most...
Kira's looking over Brixby's head at her dad, just like, no, Dad, don't.
Well, before we get into the running this person out of town whole situation, I know this will shock you because you seem to have not realize it was happening at any other time in our adventuring, but I would like to try a diplomatic approach first.
See Brixby mouth the words diplomacy like it's a foreign term. He's just like,
Right. Yeah.
it's just mouths.
4 prongs. Small.
Caden, kind of trying to do it in front of his body. Just
Caden does the
some visual humor for the people at home.
Caden does the like nod to Brixby and then makes eye contact with Kira and shakes his head like no.
That's only a
And that-
natural 4 perception. Asher did not see that.
Back to Brixby, yeah.
You must be this tall to pitchfork. If I cast the disc, I'll get. Oh, whatever. Let's go.
And I think now that we have a lead on this strange possible cultist wandering around Torch, seems like time to go to bed.
Night, Sam.
Good night, Sam.
Sam.
Right, Sam.
Against the machine. Against the machine.
Pot Against the Machine is property of Network Against the Machine LLC, all rights reserved. Pathfinder and the Iron Gods Adventure Path are property of Paizo Publishing. See their website for more details. Theme Against the Machine was written and performed by our own Zach. See the show notes for additional music and sound licensing. If you enjoyed the show, we encourage you to leave us a review.
Alright, I am recording again.
Turning mine back on.
Me too. Hey, look, Audacity. I have waveforms.
Oh, look, it's Craig. We can see him.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Why does he have
It's
a
got
mic?
all of us.
We're a little
He's
beaver
listening.
bear thing. All right.
Yeah, I just like that at this angle everyone can see my embarrassing not installed door in the background. Just leaning up against the wall where it's been, I'm not going to say how long.
Well, you could always try installing Windows. Sorry.
Yeah, let's go.
Right.
Don't apologize for that. That's a blooper.